Ladies and gentlemen, we are live on another broadcast in the Roofing on the Rise studios, where we bring you innovation in today's market. Today and every day, we are sponsored by Roofing Supply Incorporated here in the Houston marketplace, where you can get your shingles from me. Telephone number is 210 919 8987. Again, 210 919 8987. We are also sponsored by Chad T. Wilson Law Firm. You're looking for an awesome first party insurance law firm. They are the firm for you. They are based out of Clear Lake, Texas, and they do claims all over the nation. Reach out to me. Telephone number 210 919 8987. We are also sponsored by West Group Public Adjusters. If you're looking for an experienced public adjuster, appraiser, umpire, or even an expert witness, West Group is a one-stop shop for all things claims related. So guys, reach out. Telephone number 210 919 8987. Want to thank you so much to our sponsors for just bringing an absolute different edge to our podcast this year. We're going to be doing a lot of different changes. A lot of things are going to be looking different, sounding different, overall being different. This is going to be an amazing broadcast, as it always is, and we have an amazing guest like we always do, Mr. Douglas McDaniel. How are you doing today?
Hey guys, how are you? I'm doing good.
Man, I'm pretty excited to have you on today, man. We have a lot in common, and I feel like you have an awesome take to life itself. So let's jump right in, man. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name's Douglas. I got in this industry probably about 13 years ago. I was recruited by Anthony Delmedico, Storm Venture Group owner and founder.
Okay.
Right away, I got in the industry and I started hanging around the heavy hitters. I did really well, for the first couple of years, but, started to get off track, let the ego get in the way, and wasn't doing very well.
All right.
That kind of deal.
Yeah. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Been there, done that. So tell me a little bit more about that. So, you got recruited by Anthony. How long did you work for Anthony?
I worked for Anthony for about 3 years. I did really well.
Okay.
It wasn't, it was when I started to get more experienced, the ego started to come. And now it was like, hey, I need a sign-on bonus. I need this. I need that. And, heavy hitters were recruiting me, and I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do as a salesman. Yeah. I wasn't out there performing and doing my job the right way.
Right.
And it cost me some friendships. It also burned a lot of bridges.
Tell me about that.
Well, there's a few heavy hitters out there. I don't know if I can go into names, but I'll shoot a couple names out there, like Matt Irvin, Kelly Simon from K Simon Construction. Those two particular owners, bought me under their wing, took care of me really well. And I basically did not return what I said I would return. I would perform for them and bring profit to the company, and I did not.
So what led to that? I mean, sometimes this happens, right? Like we fall into a rut, and I'm not giving you an excuse or anything like that, right? But was there some sort of monumental thing in your life that was a contributing factor to why you maybe acted out like this?
Absolutely, there was. It's called drugs and alcohol.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
do. Cocaine and hookers. That's what it was for me.
Yep.
And it was taking over my life. It was just about, I need a sign-on bonus. I need a car. I need you to cash my check because I don't have an ID to do it. And when I look back at that stuff, I'm like, wow, look how manipulative I really was. I
Right.
mean, what salesman goes to a $1 million owner and says, "Hey, I don't have an ID, I don't have a place to stay, and I don't have a car," but they get you all those things, and then you end up screwing it up and you burn
Yeah.
a bridge with them, and you just continue to do that over and over and over until
Yeah.
finally it just explodes and you realize, wow, I made some really bad decisions. I need to make this right.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, how you said drugs and alcohol was a contributing factor there. Was it a factor to begin with, or was it something that happened more as you were in the industry? Was it the people that you were around, or was it just something that you were always innate with?
It was when I fell into the industry.
Yeah.
It was when I started to experience the nighttime life with my friends.
Okay.
Being able to go into the bar and buy that VIP spot at being 19, 20 years old at the time, using a fake, just all kinds of things I can go on about that.
Right.
Being so young and getting in this industry and making that kind of money, 13, 14 years ago, this industry was a lot different than it is today.
Agreed.
And the way you could perform back then, you could perform 30, 40 jobs like that, in a
Right.
couple months. So the industry has changed so much, but back then it was like drugs and alcohol were easy to get to because of the
Right.
type of income you were making
Yeah.
in this industry.
Hasn't changed, that's for sure. I mean,
No, it has not.
that was a big issue for me, 3 years ago. That was a big change for me, I couldn't manage, and that's something that like goes hand in hand with AA, not being able to, manage your life. And so, I had to learn from, groups like that to be able to relearn how to adult, you know? And so, thank God for the supporting people that I have in my life that helped me, through that. Did you happen to do something like that, or what was your saving grace?
So the change point for me was there was a particular entrepreneur that had put me on blast. And at this time, I
Mm,
was taking advantage of a lot of people. I was getting them
yeah.
to give me sign-on bonuses because of my reputation, and they
Okay.
were doing it. And finally it blew up. And
When you say your
everyone's
reputation, is it the reputation that you had in the first 3 years of, really kicking it hard?
absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Yes, that is correct. I was known as the guy that could go in and get you the check with no
Okay.
problem. Get you a
Okay.
contract signed, no problem.
All right.
Uh, Door knocking machine. Doesn't matter what homeowner was in front of me, I would get them to sign the contract.
Okay.
Uh, so that was what I, brought to the table. Well, it blew up in front of my face, and everybody knew that I was on drugs and alcohol. And someone actually put a warning out about me
Mm,
nationally, and it was very much that day. I just was like, wow, I got to do something here. I got to
mm.
change. This is bad. And I took about 4 years off.
Okay.
The first year though that I took off, I was still, doing stuff. I wasn't right. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah. It was when I went into a treatment facility, an
Yeah.
inpatient,
Okay.
and I got sober.
Nice.
And yeah. So when I got sober, I had the choice to get back in the industry because I knew everybody. It was
Right.
not an issue for me to get a job. Uh, but I wanted to do it differently this time. I didn't want to just jump right back in the industry and ask for a draw and ask for a car. I wanted to just stay what I was doing. And that's when I started to fall into ministry while I was getting sober.
Okay. Okay.
And that's
What kind
kind
of
of where the
ministry?
Lord led me. Huh?
What kind of ministry?
Youth ministry,
Okay.
foster care.
Really?
Yes, absolutely. To this day, we have a corporation in Bonita Springs. We have a foster care house that we started through the foster care agency.
Okay.
It's pretty amazing to see what we're helping, these youth do now,
That's
helping
awesome.
them. Absolutely. Thank you.
When you bring that up, kind of gives it's crazy, it gives me the chills. I At one point in my life, my mom, myself, and my sister, we lived in a Oldsmobile Delta 88, and we're homeless. So there was this house called the Python House in Weatherford, Texas, and it's like this big castle. I mean, literally, and it's a ministry that goes after foster for the children, and then families too. So they help families very temporarily, but that foster care facility definitely touched my heart as a kid. Man, those homes are so important. And actually, you know what, there's a lot of people that work with kids, and I think that's really important. The youth is the next generation, and if we don't invest in the youth now, then what do we expect to happen in the next generation?
Absolutely.
That's awesome, man. So you fell into ministry. So I'm guessing the saving grace for you was finding Christ.
Jesus. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what did it for me, was Jesus.
Okay, that's awesome. So you've gone from getting into the industry, doing an awesome first 3 years, falling into drugs and alcohol, everything else that runs with it, and then you realize that you had a problem.
Yes.
After, of course, there's a few motivating factors, but then went into a self-recovery mode, which is awesome. So where are you at now?
Well, today it's pretty amazing. I'm an ordained youth pastor today with a biblical studies degree. I got back, huh?
I said, okay.
Yep. I got back in the industry about a year and probably 40 days ago, not very long ago, because I took that break. And now I've got, 2 properties that are in my name. I've got a really beautiful family, wife and kids full time. I love being a husband. I love being a father. Most of all, I love being a servant to others. So I'd say today where I'm at is just having a servant's heart and wanting to be there for people, just a different mentality.
Did you foresee ever that you'd be in ministry?
No, absolutely not. I didn't believe in God.
Oh, really?
It was
agnostic or atheist?
I didn't know.
Difference.
Yeah, I would say I knew something was there. I just didn't know it was Jesus.
That's agnostic. But I mean, you don't have to put a label, but I mean, the world's about labels, it's weird.
Yeah.
But
that's the truth.
So that's absolutely insane. You pulled a rabbit out of the hat, that's for sure. And really, I feel that, your experiences led you to where you're at. And then now you have a completely different outlook on life, and you can share that with the children that you're working with right now. And that's a very beautiful thing because, I was sitting in church with my wife and we were watching, there's a ARC Youth Weekend going on, and I believe that was this last weekend. And the way in which that church works with youth, and with the teaching and the leading of the youth is so important at how you do it and making them feel like they're a part of it. and it's important that they have someone that they can connect with
Yeah.
and that they can really relate with. And, you have a lot of those things, for a lot of those youth, that you can do that with,
Absolutely.
which
I
is an
always
awesome
share.
thing.
Oh, sorry.
I said that's an awesome thing.
No, I appreciate that. I always share with them that, your character is everything.
Yeah.
How are you going to be when no one's around to who you're going to be when people are around? And where I started to see a character change was I was becoming that person when no one was around,
Yeah.
that person with the heart and wanted to
Mm,
help people.
yeah.
And I believe strongly that your character and your integrity is everything in who you are in Christ, and who you're called to be. Your identity is everything in Christ,
Mm,
and it's how you perform. And coming back in the industry with that mentality of just being a servant has quadrupled my sales, my reviews, everything. It's made it's just a different type of sale now than what it used to be, where it was manipulation. It was,
mm,
I need to get this person to sign this check so I can go back and brag and tell everybody. Well, guess what? I get checks signed now. No one even knows about it till I turn them in, because there's no
right.
point to do that. We're doing our job. So what if we're performing high? We're
Right.
doing what we're supposed to do. We have to take care of our family. We have to do what's right here. And that's making sure that homeowner's taken care of the whole time, not just
Yeah.
getting the contract signed with the check. No, let's
Right.
go all the way through. That means
Yeah.
when that bad news comes in, answer that phone. Tell that
Yep.
homeowner, hey, I'm sorry. It's out of my hands. I'll do what I can. Don't ignore
Yeah,
them.
that's a really important quality. Not a lot of people not a lot of people do that. They get that bad phone call and they're just like click, or they just watch it and they're like, but those real proactive, those real go-getters, the ones that are the difference between the ones that say that they're going to do it and the ones that show up every time and do it.
That's right. Absolutely.
Those are the ones that are kicking ass and taking names today.
That's right. Absolutely.
Excuse me. I'm still a little sick, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just kind of, fumbling through. Um, so what was one of the most difficult times that you had in your career so far?
Well, I would say when I burnt a bridge with quite a few heavy hitters in that time frame,
Yeah.
because those heavy hitters were like a father figure to me. I was
Yeah.
young, they were trying to be there for me, they were trying to be my friend, they were trying to help me. And I could name a lot of them,
Yeah.
like the Kay Simon, the Matt Irvin, the Paul Reed, Anthony, Steve Salou, Brian Jones. I mean, a lot of them went in, even RRCA, Lee Haight. A lot of those owners tried to take me under their wing because they saw something, but I wasn't falling into what they were seeing. And
Yeah.
constantly they were just basically, I hate to say it, but I was manipulating them into enabling me.
Yeah.
And what it really should have been was just cutting me off,
Yeah.
putting me, out there on the streets and letting me figure it out was what it should have been. And that was probably the hardest time, was when I woke up and realized that I can't get a job. No one wants to hire me because too many people know about my background now. It's
Mm,
really bad. This guy, Justin, I can't say his last name, but he ran Able Restoration. He's pretty big in the marketing today. Justin was a wake up call for me, because Justin was able to get into areas with people that I knew on a personal note, and he could say things to them about what I was doing wrong. Because the
mm,
industry, even though it's big, it's really not big. It's actually very small. A lot of people know a lot of people.
yeah.
And Justin made a phone call and had like three people down my throat. And that's when I was just kind of like, man, I got to do something. I got to change, or I'm not going to be able to do anything with my life. It's just, this is going to be bad.
Do you feel that going through all those events and then coming to where you're at now and getting into ministry has put you in a position um, to remake that name again.
I mean, obviously, God's will is God's will. And what
Right.
happens is, yes, I'm extremely grateful and thankful and so much gratitude of the trials and tribulations I went through.
Yeah.
Obviously, everybody wants to change those trials and tribulations, but in my stance, I just have a bigger testimony to share to people that were just like me, that are just
Yeah.
like me, because I'm an alcoholic. I know that. And,
Right.
I'm coming up on some pretty serious time sobriety for the first time. And I'm pretty amazed with what the changes are, but I don't believe I'd be who I am today if I wouldn't have went through what I went through.
Yeah.
Everything happens for a reason. There's a season for every reason. And, I just believe that the reason why I am where I am today is because of those trials and tribulations I went through.
So I love the comeback story, right? And that's really what this is. You're in construction now still?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. Man, that's an interesting take to what happened in your life, and I really do applaud the way in which that you've gotten over some of those ego issues and gone to the basic, gone back to relearning you. And that's, I feel, what sobriety is about, right?
Yes.
Is really relearning how to do you again. And then you were able to take that and start to help witness with the youth now. So where are you located now?
I'm actually in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Naples,
Okay.
Florida.
Okay, so you're in both markets.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What do you like best about Minneapolis?
Well, I would say that Minneapolis, there's always going to be a storm in Minnesota. There's always going to be some kind of hailstorm. So I'm always going to have work living here.
Yeah.
That's a positive being in this industry because you have, hail in your backyard. That's the best thing. I don't have to be away. I don't have to be away from my family all the time. I can work from home and go out, door knock, sign up leads, and not have to pay extra money staying in another state. That would be a big positive with, working in Minneapolis. Florida, I think the market's changed a lot in Florida. I don't think I necessarily would be there in Florida if the, boarding process wasn't taking so long with facilitating the claims I have there. They're taking to a year and a half to close. I'm kind of,
that's quite a bit of time.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting out of the Florida market. I don't really want to deal with it anymore. It's just more of a frustration, headache. A lot of homeowners are kind of set-minded that, they don't really believe in this.
What's going on in Florida?
Yes, there's definitely a lot going on, and you just got to be so careful with what words you say. And I don't want to deal with that. There's too much in this industry to work with than working in Florida.
What do you think is the perfect market out there?
I think the perfect market is what Anthony Delmedico would call a sleeper, a storm, a sleeper where no one really knows about it. And a small town with 40,000 population, and there's aluminum siding with, 3-tab shingles. that would be
I think that was Killeen Fort Hood for me.
Okay.
There's some areas on the outside of Killeen and Fort Hood that it's crazy. Nobody had touched. I came into that storm and there was a bunch of stormers right where it got hit bad, and then it's like go out on the lake, and It was an awesome market for me. There's a little town called Moffett,
Yeah.
and Moffett, Texas has a very, very small population. And I actually just recommended that a roofer go there. And if anybody's watching now and you're in the Central Texas market, that'd be a disruption. Moffett, Texas, I'll tell you what, they have got an amazing community, and there is a there's a nice subdivision, and if you can get in that subdivision, you can pretty much knock them all out. And then there are a bunch of country homes. Everybody knows everybody, and so they'll just refer you out. And so it's the best little community to get in, and it was the best one for me whenever I started my business. That's why I asked it. I was just like, man, what do you think is the best one out there? You know? But yeah, so tell me a little bit.
I'm sorry. I have a story for you if you'd like to hear.
Go
We're
ahead.
talking about these markets. So there was a sleeper in Stuart, Florida. It was probably about, I don't know, probably 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Me and Anthony, we went down to Palm Beach, Florida, which is right by Stuart. There was a hailstorm that hit. Man, that was probably one of the best storms we ever worked because there was no one there. And at the time, no one really knew about the Florida market. No one knew how high it was paying. So there was this area called Rocky Point. Man, I'm telling you, I probably did close to 2 million in sales, less than 6 months. Anthony will verify that. That was a storm that we still talk about to this day. It was just wide open. No one was there. It was crazy.
Those are the type of storms that get you fired up and get you wanting to come back and do it again, man. I mean, I started, and there was a tornado that had thrown stones, like, and it hit the siding, and it was the most crazy thing for me to see what this tornado had done to Amarillo, Texas.
Oh, yeah, Amarillo.
And yeah, so Woodshake, Presidential. I mean, there's just all different kinds of stuff up there. And so I got an awesome introduction to the storm restoration industry. Excuse me. Under Marty Haight, which is Lee's uncle.
Oh, nice, Marty.
Okay.
Yeah, Marty. Yep.
So I was with RRSA back in the day. So that was an awesome storm for me. And that got me fired up to keep on coming back. And I feel like if I wouldn't have done the storm part of the industry before I did the quote unquote retail storm side, because there's a very big difference.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Of like living in an area and then working off the storms in that area instead of like storming for the 5-star map every year and then staying there for 7 to 12 months. Right. Well, I started, like, for myself, I started, losing a lot of time, and like time is a big thing. And so, if I would have done, what I did before I jumped into distribution, and that is working here, working the storms in the Houston area, Austin, what have you. I don't think I would have been able to make it. I mean, honestly, because I just have that dog, mentality. Like, I just want to go out there and get it. But, there were those years, man, that I went up and then I went down. And I feel like business ownership was the best thing for me, because it like kicked me out and it made me, eat what I killed. And then, going from that, and I failed in my business trying to keep people that I couldn't keep on salary. I had no business paying a salary, right? Yeah. And so I folded my company and then, got back out there and did it again. And me getting out and learning how to, failure is not the last straw. It is not the last dance. Failure is what pushes you to be a little bit more perfect, a little bit more refined, a little bit more even keeled.
Absolutely.
And I feel like those failures in life for everyone, they either define you or they refine you. And I like a little bit of both, right? So what's the biggest takeaway that you would say for the viewers and the people that are watching from your past and what you got going on?
Well, I mean, there's a lot, I mean, when you think about it. I'd say, like, coming in this industry, you can't always come in thinking you know everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You need to remain teachable. No matter how big you are in this industry, remain teachable. And I think the problem with some people, new generation in this industry, they're not teachable.
Yeah.
They can't change things about themselves because they're not willing to change. And when I see people boasting about what roof they signed today, that's just a sign of insecurity to me, because I know I was in that place, and that's what I was. I was insecure, and I needed that pat on the back to feel good. But see, I don't need that pat on the back anymore. I don't need someone to tell me that I'm doing great, because I already know I'm doing great, because I'm staying teachable. That's what I would say. I
I
think
love
we
that.
all. Thanks, appreciate that.
That's awesome. Being able to have that take is a really important quality, and I think that being able to have that take is real mature. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a live stream here on the Roofing on the Rise Studios. We are sponsored by Roofing Supply Incorporated here in the Houston marketplace, where you can get your shingles directly from me. Telephone number 210-919-8987. Again, 210-919-8987. We're also sponsored by Chad T. Wilson Law Firm. You can get an awesome first-party insurance law firm to take care of your client. They'll walk through the process with your client from start to finish and make sure that they get the best that they can get for you and your client. Telephone number to reach out to them directly through me, 210-919-8987. It has been an awesome live stream. Thank you so much, Douglas, for coming on with us. You have an amazing day.